Welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, having a conversation with the Honorable Dan McTeague. He is the president of Canadians for Affordable Energy. Dan, we've talked a lot about the policy miscues and bad directions and so on. What can Canadians do, individual Canadians do, to help the debate on affordable energy in the next year? I mean, we're coming up to the next federal election. What's your take on what Canadians can do?
I think Canadians have to be a little bit more boisterous. I know it's not like us to be that way. We tend to be very reserved, very kind, very polite. But I think it has to be well known, and Canadians shouldn't be shying away from the fact that they are expressing to representatives and to opinion leaders that things are not as they expect. They know the country can do better, and they know that the country has indeed fallen over its previous heights in which people did much better at making ends meet. Not everybody, of course, will agree with that. Some people believe things are just great, but by almost any measure, everyone that I speak to, regardless of their politics, believes that things have gone off the rails. And so I think it's critical Canadians take advantage of the opportunity to express their concerns, and if necessary, their discontent. But I think pragmatically to know that and to express to future governments what they expect from their government and how they believe the country should conduct its affairs. I am very eternally optimistic the country can make that turn as long as Canadians are engaged. And I think up to this point, they really weren't. I think they are now.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing much more of an interest in these public policy issues now than the last few years. So that's a very good sign. I guess just to focus in a little bit, the next few months, we've got a winter. The Canadian winter is coming up shortly, and we've got another year. So what do you expect to happen with energy in this country in the next few months to a year?
I think it's a good question, Tony. I think energy prices are going to rise, especially diesel and heating costs are going to be much more expensive than they were, not just because the federal government is adding more taxes, another carbon tax coming up on April 1st, but also a clean fuel standard, which is going to affect likely diesel prices, which pretty much touches the cost of everything involved with transportation or any kind of commercial activity, whether that's mining, whether that's farming, or whether that happens to be industrial activity. I think we have to be mindful that we are in a bit of a golden period, if you will. Energy prices are calm. They won't remain that. I think they're going to be moving back up to the upside as markets recognize that from a perspective of fundamentals, supply is not as strong as believed, and demand is ever more robust. I think we're going to be seeing energy prices go up in 2025 at a time in which many Canadians will find it even more challenging than today to make ends meet.
And that's regardless of the situation in the Middle East, let's say, or some other Russia, Ukraine, or what have you?
I think the markets have seriously discounted any type of geopolitical tensions in Russia, Ukraine, in the Middle East, and even the Straits of Taiwan. I think the markets have whistled past these things and said that fundamentals don't matter, nor do geopolitics. We saw a very quiet summer in the base in the Gulf of Mexico. We didn't see much in terms of meteorological damages. We are seeing strong demand. These lower prices are spurring stronger demand, both in the United States and in Canada. I think the reality is that we're going to start to see prices moving up regardless, because I think we've got this pent-up demand and prices are simply not meeting that demand. More importantly, I think as time goes on, and perhaps we'll have this discussion in a year or two from now, the lack of investment in terms of restoring the energy that we're using today, particularly oil and gas, is extremely concerning. And I think if we continue to see that gap, we're going to wind up paying for it in the long run.
Yeah, just we got about 30 seconds before we end, but the lack of investment means that there isn't going to be more supply coming onto the market in time. Is that right?
That's correct, and that will only be met by higher prices to meet and to supply, to ensure that those who truly need it are going to be prepared to pay for it. As touching off another rate of escalating inflation and other disruptions to the market. As I said, it's been very quiet now. We haven't seen this, and thankfully so. But get ready; it's just around the corner.
Just around the corner. Dan McTeague, thank you for joining us. Canadians for Affordable Energy, really interesting insights into the state of energy affordability for all Canadians. It's been great having you on the program today.
It's been an honor. Thanks for having me again, Tony.
For sure.